Donald Trump had the president of South Africa at the White House today. And I don't often say it. In fact, I've never said it before. It is, as far as I'm concerned, I cannot think of a greater moment in presidential political history than this moment. It was such an eviscerating, excoriating, humiliating, emasculating. I mean, I could come up with a bunch of other words. It was the greatest moment in presidential history of my lifetime that I can think of, where a president hauls up the president of another country and absolutely humiliates them in front of the whole world, where there is not a person on earth who could be sitting there saying, that went well. I mean, I think it's worse than what was done to Volodymyr Zelensky. I say worse, I should say better. I think it's more deserved. It's more righteous, more justified. But it's on par with the level of presidential awesomeness that we witnessed with Zelensky times 10. So add a zero to the end of it, people. Before we even get into it, I'm not a religious man. Some of you might want me to become one. I appreciate those thoughts. I very much love being told, God bless you. And whether or not I'm religious, I think I'm spiritual, because I think sincerely, genuinely, and as Jules said out of Pulp Fiction, according to Hoyle, we witnessed a miracle on July 13th. And, it could have just been the dumb luck of the universe, or it could have been something else. Donald Trump is a modern day hero. And some people are going to call me MAGA or an ass kisser, or say there's other ulterior reasons for which I'm doing this. I'll criticize Trump when I think he's deserving of criticism, but it will always be with the backdrop that until he does something to violate the trust that we have in him right now, respectfully disagree. But I believe he's an absolute bona fide flipping hero. And I had this thought earlier, and I said, imagine that piece of rubbish, burning in hell, human filth, Crooks. We mentioned the name only so that I don't get mistaken between Ruth, the other piece of filth, whose trial I might try to attend because it's in Florida. Imagine Crooks had hit Trump where he was intending to hit Trump on July 13th. Imagine Trump, by whatever butterfly batting its wings or gust of breath from a God that actually exists, didn't turn his head. My prediction is we would have been in a hot civil war. We would have been in a hot World War III. I've always said it would have been the Franz Ferdinand assassination on roids. But I had some other realizations since then that I'll read it. Say without hyperbole, Trump is an absolute hero. Bona fide, even to those who think they still hate them. There are children who hate their parents because their parents are teaching them the right lessons in life. There are kids who love their parents because they appreciate that their parents are teaching them the right lessons in life. But there are the kids out there, spoiled, bratty little pissants, who hate their parents despite the fact that their parents are teaching them the right lessons in life. I call the lefty, screaming at the sky lunatics those kids. They'll grow up one day or they won't. But for those who hesitate with a belief in God or some higher power, appreciate what would have happened had Trump been killed on July 13th or in August by the nutbag there, the Ukrainian-obsessed nutbag. Every January 6th political prisoner who was rotting away in jail would still be in jail. Some of them would have died by suicide. Others would have died from malnourishment, from abuse, from murder, from whatever goes on in those freaking gulags. I don't know if there were 1,500 who are still in jail, hundreds in jail. Enrique Tarrio, the Proud Boys, the other one there, Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. 1,500 people whose lives were saved just by Jan 6 pardons alone. Then you had the pro-lifers who would have been rotting away in Biden gulags under a Kamala Harris regime or a Nikki Haley regime. Then you have the 49 South Africans who have been given asylum in America because of if you don't want to call it a white genocide, just call it targeted racial violence, political violence, and racist laws out of South Africa. It's funny, that seems to fit the exact definition of a certain genocide as per the 1948 UN resolution. Set it aside. You don't want to call it genocide? Okay. It's just directed violence that is racially motivated. 49 of those South Afrikaners and their families would be sitting in that hellhole that South Africa has become right now. That's setting aside the hot civil war, the world war. The world, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people would be dead right now. And I'm not being hyperbolic. And if you think I am, I don't care. They would be dead right now had that bullet caught its mark on July 13. And you got a president right now who is, to some extent, reborn. I mean, literally reborn. He's not literally reborn with the same life expectancy as an infant. He's reborn because he, by all accounts, by every marksman, whatever the hell it's called, marksman, the person who shoots a gun, by everyone's account, Crooks should not have missed that shot. Trump should not have turned his head that way. Even demented Joe Biden was shocked that Trump turned it. Why'd you turn your head like that, Trump? You foiled a lot of people's plans. He's on not borrowed time now. He is on free time because God gave him a second life and he's making the most of it as president, as a transformational president. And so he calls in to the White House the president of South Africa. And, you know, I'm going through it and I'm snipping and clipping. You know, I put this tweet up before I got to the good part. And I said, he's just an absolute boss. He knows what he's doing. And by the way, I didn't know when I clipped this that he had even more in store for Cyril Ramaphosa. I'll play the whole thing on this one here. Check this out. I'll skip a little bit because half of the answer is shitting on MSNBC, who rightly deserve it. Listen to this.
Any questions?
Mr. President, we welcome white Afrikaner refugees here. Can you explain to Americans why it's appropriate to welcome white Afrikaners here when other refugees like Afghans, Venezuelans, Haitians have all had their protected status revoked?
Well, they weren't bona fide asylum seekers, moron. Can you imagine this rubbish MSNBC, I think that's who it was, journalist saying, basically what they're saying is, why did you take 49 whiteys when you just removed TPS, which was unwarranted in the first place, for a bunch of people who were not even asylum seekers in the first place? We don't like white immigrants. We don't like white asylum seekers. We like the ones that we can treat as our pet projects, the ones whose pigment is slightly darker than our own, because we done picking cotton, right? According to Jasmine Crockett. Who's going to pick the fruits and vegetables in the fields, according to Ralph Nadler? What is not Ralph Nader? Not Ralph Nader, Jerry Nadler. Sorry, I don't mean to defame Ralph Nader. Who's going to clean your toilets, Donald Trump? They love certain immigrants, the ones they can easily exploit and treat as quite literally pets. That's the basis of the question here. How dare you let in 49 bona fide asylum-seeking white people?
This is a group, NBC, that is truly fake news. They ask a lot of questions in a very pointed way. They're not questions, they're statements. We've had tremendous complaints about Africa, about other countries too, from people.
Listen, I'll skip to the end.
But we have many people that feel they're being persecuted and they're coming to the United States. So we take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on. And we had a lot of people. I must tell you, Mr. President, we have had a tremendous number of people, especially since they've seen this. Generally, they're white farmers.
Generally.
And they're fleeing.
Generally, they're white farmers. Fact check, true. 87% of farm murder, over 87% of farm murders have been white.
South Africa, and it's a very sad thing to see. But I hope we can have an explanation of that, because I know you don't want that.
I know you don't want that. Imagine having, Stalin or Mao or Hitler up there and saying, I know you don't want to, I know you don't want to be ethnically cleansing your gypsies, your Jews, and your blacks, Hitler. I know you don't want that. What you think Cyril Ramaphosa doesn't want exactly what's going on in South Africa right now? I mean, he might not want it after there's a massive famine like there was in Soviet Russia, after they killed all the farmers who knew how to farm and stole their land in the Bolshevik Revolution. And then, lo and behold, they don't know how to do it. And tens of millions of people starved. Oh, I know you don't want that, Cyril. So you're surely going to do something. Can you imagine a public spanking like this? And Ramaphosa's got to sit there. I hope I'm saying his name. He's got to sit there and take it.
It's a kind of a different meeting. Normally we have meetings, we talk about trade, and we'll be talking about trade and other things. But that certainly will be a subject that comes up. Yeah.
But right now, we're talking about the genocide that's going on in South Africa. And if it's not genocide, what is it? I thought that was a boss move when I saw that. And then this, I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm going to fast forward and just, It's undoubtedly one of the single greatest moments in presidential history. Donald Trump asked what it will take for him to believe there is no white genocide going on in South Africa. Appreciate this question comes in the wake of the first question, which Trump rightly said, these are not questions, these are statements. The question, what will it take for you to believe that there is no white genocide, is not a question. It is a way to phrase an assertion, a baseless, false assertion of fact as a question. President Trump, what will it take for you to acknowledge that there's no white genocide? I mean, close your eyes and block your ears and just say there's no white genocide, there's no white genocide, boys can be girls. What will it take for you to say it? Watch this. Listen to Ramaphosa says, I'll field the question at first. And he immediately regrets it. Listen to this.
What would it take for you to be convinced that there's no white genocide in South Africa?
Well, I can answer that for the president.
It was at that moment he knew he fucked up.
It's, for him, no, seriously.
Hey, Adolf, what will, Chamberlain, what will it take for you to accept that there's no Holocaust going on in Nazi Germany? I will take that one for you, and I will answer it. He just needs to ask the people in Germany, and they will tell him that nothing is going on. Hey, who else, Sarah? Let me think of someone. Kim Jong-un fielding the question that there's nothing going on in North Korea. I can't do his accent without. Sorry, you can do a German accent, but I can't do a North Korean accent without getting A, because I don't know exactly how to do it, but B, I'd get canceled. Okay, let's listen to Ramaphosa's explanation here.
I mean, yeah, I'd rather answer that.
I will answer.
It will be,
Our president will respond to you.
He will.
Thank you, Mr. President.
it will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talked,
I'm sure he would bring the ones who would say there's a genocide going on to the White House with him. I'm sure.
Between us on the quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying.
He will have to listen. It's almost as though Cyril is setting it up for Trump on purpose. He will simply have to listen to what the people of South Africa are saying.
I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here.
I know they wouldn't be there. They wouldn't be there. I'd say the fact that there's 3 living white people means that there's no genocide. If they were going to say that there's a white genocide going on, I guarantee you, Cyril, they wouldn't be there. We agree on that.
Including my Minister of Agriculture.
Look at
he
Trump.
Would not be with
can't
me.
wait.
So it'll take him.
This is like Trump is holding pocket aces and this douchebag is bluffing with like 7 deuce offsuit.
President Trump listening to their stories, to their perspective.
Speaking of listening of stories, Cyril, I've got a video montage that lasts 5 minutes long that I'd like you to listen to.
That is the answer to your question.
Look at
But,
Trump.
Mr. President, I must say that we have wait.
No, we're not moving on.
We have thousands of stories talking about it, and we have
Farmlands documentary by Lauren or Laura Southern. I always get mixed up. Lauren Southern. It's well worth a watch.
documentaries. We have news stories, and that is Natalie here. Somebody here to turn that. I could show you a couple of things.
He's going to show a 5-minute montage of all the videos that we've all seen. The guys in the stadium, kill the Boers. One guy saying, "We won't be killing the white people yet." But I'm going to just zip through like this. Just look at Cyril's face as they play this.
With or without you, people are going to occupy land.
Yeah,
we require no permission from you, from
just watch it. Just watch it, Cyril.
No
yeah.
one.
Here.
We don't care.
I'll turn the lights down so it's even easier.
We can do whatever you want to do.
Okay, watch Cyril's face. Just keep watching Cyril's face. Yeah, I'm laughing. Smile. Where's the part where you like? There you go. Look at this. Getting a little hot in here, eh? Woo! Shit, is this real video? Oh gosh. Okay, let's just keep going. There was another part where you smile. There you go. Wait, are we done? No, keep going. Keep going. Look at this right there. That was it. Yeah, you're not smiling anymore, Cyril. And it goes on, and it goes on. Listen to this at the end. Now they're showing the helicopter on the where they have the crosses up that represent farmers that have been killed over the last 20 years. Look, oh, here.
there to pay respects to their family
Well,
member who
watch
was
Cyril.
killed.
I did not know this video exists. Can
And
you imagine
it's
being
a
the president?
terrible
I
sight.
know this
I've never
video
seen
exists.
anything like it.
Watch Cyril. Faint. He's
Both sides
he's
of the road,
perplexed.
you have crosses.
What is this video? I have never seen this video. Look at him. Look at him. He's curious. Oh. He didn't even have the right response that I thought he was going to have.
Those people were all killed.
Have they told you where that is, Mr.
Have they
President?
told? See, when he asked that question, have they told you where that is, Mr. President? I thought he was going to say that's a memorial to all the farmers that have been killed, not just the white ones, because that's the right answer. This jackass either sincerely doesn't know what it is or is pretending not to know what it is because there's no good answer for it. It is a number, it's a bunch of crosses representing all of the farmers that have been killed over the last 20 years. There's, I don't know, thousands of them. You know what the only problem is? 87.6% of the farmers that have been killed in South Africa over the last 20 years have been white. Might have been over the last 30 years. But he actually doesn't seem to know where this is.
No, I'd like to know where that is because this I've never seen.
This I've never seen. Hey, Cyril, I'm a stupid Canadian schnook living down in Florida. I've seen this video more times than I can count. Bullshit, you've never seen it. But it's nice that you're just sweating through your underwear because Trump just humiliated you and put the white genocide, if you want to call it that, or just the targeted racial violence of South Africa on blast for the world to see. The first time in my lifetime, as far as I know.
Okay.
I would like to see what this is because I would like to punish everybody who put those crosses there and put this on blast.
I mean, it's in South Africa. That's
We need to find out.
You need to find out. Yeah, oh my goodness, he needs to find out. Now, I predicted that MSM was going to fact check Trump and say, no, this is I thought they were going to fact check him on the accurate part of the fact check, which is that what's it called? A memorial is for all the farmers, not just the white farmers. So every of all the 100, for every 100 crosses you see, only 87.6 of them are white farmers who represent not even the white farmers, but whites, I believe, represent 7% of the South African population now. So do the math. Yeah, that is what you call statistical overrepresentation in terms of violent crime. 87+% of the farmers killed are white, and whites make up 7% of the South African population. White farmers, I presume, is even less. Well, they wasted no time, and it's absolutely stunning. The balls that they have. I put this one on. Archive because I don't want to dignify the original post. It's a Reuters fact check. Trump confronts Ramaphosa. Have I been saying Ramaphosa? Ramaphosa with false genocide claims. Let's read this, shall we? Let's take a gander. Are we looking at the same thing? We are. Good. Yeah. Washington, May 21st. By the way, it's my birthday on Friday. Not for nothing. U.S. President Donald Trump confronted South African President Cyril Ramaphosa at the White House on Wednesday with allegations of mass killings and land seizures from white people in a scene reminiscent of his February ambush of Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky. I hadn't read that when I compared those two moments, but I'm glad other people are making the connections. Shame them. Shame the corrupt, murderous dictators of the world. Yeah, and that's right, by the way. I don't have to insult or flatter Putin in order to be able to call Zelensky what he is. South Africa rejects the allegations that white people are disproportionately targeted by crime. Murder rates are high in the country, but overwhelming majority of victims are black. Oh my gosh. Can you believe the level of abject stupidity? It's not stupidity. Figures lie and liars figure. There are three types of lies, damn lies, and statistics. Yeah, first of all, South Africa is a murderous hellhole, period. Sorry to anybody who I may know that's South African that takes offense by that. It is the top 5 highest crime rate countries in the world. I think it's Venezuela's number 1. Haiti's up there. I think Afghanistan's in there. And then there was another one. So yeah, there will be an overwhelming majority of victims are black because the overwhelming majority of the population is black. And yeah, it's crime. I would make some stats about who's committing the crime, but that would be politically incorrect. Ramaphosa arrived saying he wanted to discuss trade, minerals. It got off to a cordial start, talked about golf, yada yada. But the televised Oval Office meeting soon took a different course when Trump showing a video and printed articles purporting to show evidence of to back his unfounded claims. Hey, I'm sorry, are you a fact check or checking your facts? It's unfounded, so let's argue from that conclusion. People are fleeing South Africa for their own safety. We saw that. South Africa, which endured centuries of draconian discrimination against black people during colonialism and apartheid before becoming a multi-party democracy in 1994, and they reject his claims. The new land reform law aimed at redressing the injustices of apartheid allows for expropriation without compensation when in the public interest, for example, if land is lying fallow. No expropriation has taken place, and any order can be challenged in court. No. The same courts that have denied the white genocide. Taken without compensation. Expropriation without but we haven't done it yet. Go Google how much land has been seized or stolen from farmers before this law. So expropriation without compensation, and the argument you will hear is that whites own disproportionately more of the farmland than blacks, despite only representing 7% of Africa. The population. Hold on. South African whites own majority of land. That's the Google term, just so I can get it. Let me see what the AI overview. Yeah, it's true. White South Africans still own disproportionately large shares of land, particularly farmland in South Africa. So this is what you call a law that is designed to be racist or racial, but conceal it in a neutral law that disparately impacts a specific demographic. When courts run properly, typically these laws, when that's the intent of the law, which quite clearly it is, at least for whatever South Africans are left, it's intended to hit them in particular. Oh, geez, you're sorry. Marco, you got to disactivate your camera for 2 minutes and your mic, and I'll bring you in 5. This is the one catch about Rumble, is that it pops people right back in. So we'll finish with the fact check here. Ramaphosa said, especially yada, yada, yada. Where do we get into this? The South African leader, Ramaphosa responded, "These are concerning. We will talk about it." The South African leader remained composed throughout the scene. In recent months, Trump's just criticized the land reform law of South Africa. He has canceled aid, expelled South Africa's ambassador, and ordered refuge to white minority Afrikaners based on racial discrimination. The United States is a South Africa's biggest. All right. Later in the meeting, where does it even fact check this? Where does it fact check the actual answer? Don't trust them, people. You got to go do the digging, and I've done the digging, and I will also put on blast what are they called? The SPLC, Enemies of the People. It's a 2018 fact check, but it's just amazing that people don't do this, call it for a living, and they don't have the patience to do what it is that I do in order to double check everything. You go to the articles, which one was from 2018. The Southern Poverty Law Center argues that Trump was making claims back in the day of white genocide. And the SPLC put out a fact check that says the dangerous myth of white genocide in South Africa. You read the article, and at one point they say, fact-checking a claim a white farmer is killed every 5 days. This is the lead from a Newsweek article that appeared in March. Reads, the activists say South African authorities are tacitly approving attacks on the country's white farmers, with one being murdered every 5 days. But that says, okay, with one being murdered every 5 days, and the police are turning a blind eye to the violence. To his credit, the writer points out the next paragraph that the activists are from the AfReform and correctly labels them white national. Correctly labels them white. Southern Poverty Law Center, pieces of shit, pieces of human shit. I'm sorry. Both the headline and the opening paragraph afford undue weight and credibility to the claims. So you've heard now that they're white nationalists. They were rightly called white nationalists, and it's untrue. I went to the article referenced in their fact check, and there it's Africa check, sorting fact from fiction. Are South Africa whites really being killed like flies? Well, you can't qualify like flies as a matter of fact, but rather as a matter of hyperbole. But let's get to it. Why Steve Hoffermeyer is wrong. You go through I don't know how many, 5,000 word article? I don't even know if it's a long flipping article, only to get to in fine, as we say, the conclusion. TAUSA figures for the 22 years between 1990 and 2012 state that 1,544 people were killed in farm attacks, an average of 70 a year, or one every 5.2 days. Oh, but they're not all white. Only 87.5% of them are. So it probably averaged out to a white farmer, I can't do the math real fast, every 7 days. Not even, every 6 days. These are the scumbag sons of bitches who are going to go try to fact check Donald Trump right now. And I'll set everything straight here. That monument, it's a known memorial. It's for all farmers. 87.6 of the farmers that have been killed since 1990, white. That's a farmer every 5 days, people. And if 87% of them are white, that is a white farmer roughly every 6 days. I don't want to get down to hours. We witnessed one of the greatest moments in presidential history today. And that is all I have to say about that, but Donald Trump is a flipping hero.